So I'm 31, but I am not ashamed to admit that I am obsessed with my mom. Now, I think, I could write it off and say that it's because I'm from a tight-knit Iranian-American family, but I'd be lying. I'd be obsessed with her anyway. Her hilarious, infectious smile that I happen to have inherited, her sharp, witty sense of humor, which I also have inherited, and her deep-seated compassion, which I am working on. And so when I finally had to move away from home, when I had to go off to college, go out into the real world, we decided to start this daily tradition of chatting on the phone, just like a very simple phone call, just so that I could hear the sound of her voice. And it was her Maryam Azizams that powered me through numerous panic attacks through college, heartbreaks through grad school, and has indulged my petty ranting about coworkers who have really loud, wet mouth chewing sounds in the adjoining cubicle. Super gross. And so when she is admitted to New York Presbyterian Hospital for a preventative surgery to get a brain aneurysm clipped, I am just dreading having 72 hours while she's recovering that I can't indulge in this daily tradition that we have. I know that I'm going to miss her voice so much. And when I beg her to let me come up to New York City to be with her through this, she tells me, Maryam, I don't want to feel like I'm never going to wake up again. And so for those 72 hours, I am in constant communication with my dad. He sends me a text message after she gets out of surgery and she's recovering. And he says, she did great. She's recovering just fine. But she doesn't look fine to me. She looks like a corpse. She has bandages all around her head. She's sleeping, resting, but she looks more like a mummy than my mom. And for those 72 hours, I'm just, begging my dad, just let me talk to her. Let me hear the sound of her voice. And he says, no, she's recovering. She has to rest. She has to get better. And those 72 hours turn into 96. Which turn into 120. And I so miss the sound of her voice. And somewhere between hours 120 and 130, I get a text message. And it's from my mom. And she says, watching Gossip Girl, so funny, XOXO, love mom. And I am flooded with relief. And then she calls me and I hear the sound of her voice. She's drunk on meds. She's not making a whole lot of sense, but it's my mom. And then we hang up and I'm just ecstatic. And then 5 minutes later, she calls me again. And 5 minutes after that, she calls me again. And on and on and on for the rest of the day. And I don't stop to think like, this is kind of weird. Why is mom doing the most? I'm just so happy to hear her voice, and she's telling me all about Gossip Girl and what's going on. She's telling me about this funeral that she has to go to the next day, and when she's at the funeral, she's texting me about how boring it is, which is super rude, but I'm just like, Mom, she's back and better than ever. And a month later, I go back home. I go back to New York for my 30th birthday, and it's the first time that I've seen my mom since the surgery. And we go out to this really swanky restaurant for brunch. And after we order our meals, my mom tells me, Maryam, I have to tell you something. And my heart just sinks. I feel like, oh God, they've brought me to the swanky restaurant because they know that I probably won't just totally melt down in front of these rich people. And she says, do you remember when I sent you all those text messages while I was in the hospital? I say, yeah. And she says, well, and she tells me about how during that time, after they discharged her, she didn't wake up. And so they had to rush her back to the hospital and run a bunch of tests. And when they couldn't figure out what was wrong, they gave her steroids, which induced a psychotic break. And during that psychotic break, she's texting me and she's calling me, and she's also texting and calling everybody that she knows. She's texting her friends, her coworkers, her ex-boss who she had just told off the month before. She's telling all of the doctors and the nurses who have no idea that she has a daughter, please don't tell Maryam. I don't want her to know. I don't want her to worry. And it fills my heart and then it breaks it into a million pieces to know that even in the middle of a psychotic break, my mom was putting me first. She was thinking about my own comfort, my own needs. And I think that there's this tradition that happens in life that we don't like to think about until we're in the middle of it, where the torch passes from our parents as our caretakers to us as theirs. And I can't help but think how much I wanted to be there for her, to comfort her when she needed me. And I can't help but need her to trust that me and my voice, my maman amans, my Aziz amans, can be the thing that comfort her the way that she's always comforted me. Thank you.